All right, welcome to another episode of All In with Eight. It's been a good minute. We haven't done a show in a couple of weeks, but we're back. We're getting a chance to get this draft coverage out the way because we only got a week remaining. Next Thursday is draft night. But before we even get into that, of course, you got Devon Brown back with me again. Another episode in, and then we got our special guest. You may have seen him before the Marvel tournament. Shaq Washington, first time to the stream. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, Devon. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the technical difficulties doing this off my phone today. We're going to see how this works.
Okay, so if you got a chance to see the preview message, we're going to talk about the three of the teams from 27 to 29 is going to be the New Orleans Saints, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Green Bay Packers. We're going to start off first talking about the New Orleans Saints. But before we get into it, let's go to our video preview of the New Orleans Saints. At 28, the New Orleans Saints are entering the draft. They're coming off of their final season with Drew Brees at the helm. He's been their quarterback since 2006. And the New Orleans Saints continued their dominance in the NFC South, posted a 12-4 record on the regular season. They were a top 5 offense as far as passing, as far as points per game. They were one of the top 5 rushing offenses in the NFL. Their defense actually was pretty respectable as well. They were number 5 in the league in defensive points allowed. They were number 4 in yards allowed. They were the best team at forcing interceptions in the regular season. They also had a top 5 rushing defense, good enough to put them at the number 2 seed in the NFC. They ended up defeating the Chicago Bears in the wild card round, but unfortunately their season came to an end at the hands of the now defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints will go into this offseason with Taysom Hill or possibly Jameis Winston at the helm at quarterback in New Orleans, and with a couple of other needs to keep them as a contender in the NFC. And let's get into the topic of what the New Orleans Saints is going to do with that pick at 28. All right, as you saw our preview about the New Orleans Saints, before I get into them, I'm going to let Devon start off. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints coming into this offseason?
Honestly, I really don't think they need that much of an upgrade. Going from reports from Sean Payton, they're pretty much coming at the same approach. Like, yes, losing Drew Brees, it was kind of a big blow for them because he was their quarterback for over a decade, almost 2 decades, and it was a lot just to lose him because that was pretty much their centerfold of their whole offense, and start a new regime with either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill at quarterback. It's going to be different. Personally, I think that they're going to probably just run a 2-man QB system like they've always been doing. I don't see Taysom being the starter. I do see Jameis being the starter, but Taysom, coming in for his certain packages that they have. But for them, cornerback is definitely top need. They lost Janoris Jenkins, so they need somebody that's going to be opposite of Marshawn Lattimore coming into this first round. As far as picks go, Pro Football Focus surprisingly has them doing a blockbuster trade that would actually put them up into pick 8, trading back with the Carolina Panthers, and they would snag Justin Fields. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be there at 8. He might, but it's kind of unlikely. Well, it depends on the first 4 teams that they decide they want to take Justin Fields, because QB, like I said, the QB position right now is a deep class. There's a lot of talent out there, and Justin Fields is definitely in that top, in my opinion, top 3, top 4 talent. So I don't necessarily see him being there at 8, but if he is there past the first 6 teams, then most likely they will snag him or try to trade up for him. Fan Nation has them trading back into their second round with the Dolphins. So the Dolphins would get their 19th pick. I mean, their 28th pick, and go from there. And then the Saints would get their 36th pick. So they would have an early second round pick where they would grab Elijah Moore, pick 36. Elijah Moore is good for them because they would grab a speedy slot receiver that they need. They lost Emmanuel Sanders to free agency. He's now on the Bills. So just another receiver to bolster the secondary, receiving core with Michael Thomas already there at the helm. Mel Kiper has them grabbing Zavin Collins. He can play middle or outside linebacker. Be there with Demario Davis. Maurice Jones-Drew addressing their cornerback needs, and Tyler Sullivan. They both have them getting Asante Samuel Jr., which I personally love. That's a good pick for them. Both of them, or him and Marshawn, would be a good lockdown corner duo. Asante Samuel coming out of Florida State, and the son of pro defensive back Asante Samuel Sr., who played for the Patriots and had a little stint with the Eagles. John Daigle from NBC has them picking Kadarius Toney. I know me and you had talked about him being a sleeper pick in the draft, and whoever gets him is getting a stud receiver. He would definitely fit well in their slot game. Action News has Matthew Friedman having them pick Rashad Bateman, another wide receiver that I feel like would be a sleeper. Go anywhere in the draft. He could line up either slot, be a number 1 or number 2. Speed receiver as well as Kadarius Toney and Elijah Moore. There's a lot of speed in this draft. Like we was talking on the first episode, everybody's running 4.3s nowadays, and the 3 receivers I've named so far are all running 4.3s. So all of them can make some noise when they come into the NFL. Athletic has their commentator Dan Brugler. He chose Jamin Davis from Kentucky, linebacker, to go with them in the first round. He's somebody that's popped up recently as his stock draft has risen. I don't necessarily see him being there that deep. He might, but because there's other teams that would select him if he is available. But as far as I'm concerned, I would say cornerback will be their top need, and I do see them grabbing a cornerback. So most likely would be Asante Samuel.
All right. Before we go into it, let me see what the comments are saying. Nick Green said, F them Saints. Hey, keep it clean. Keep it clean. I feel you, but keep it clean. Let's see. Virgil Hawkins says, Shaq like he's going to work out anything. That's the perfect lead off. All right, Shaq, what is your take on the New Orleans Saints?
New Orleans Saints. Let's start off by saying this. I think this is a year for Sean Payton to show how great of a coach he really is. With the fact that you have Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, you have a dual threat at quarterback. People forget, Jameis Winston's not a bad quarterback at all. Yes, we know him from being in Tampa Bay, leading the NFL in touchdown passes in a year and interceptions. However, I think that the offense in New Orleans will be dumbed down enough for him to keep his touchdown to interception ratio low. This is a opportunity for him to project his career and really put more positive things to his name. So I don't see them going quarterback. If they do go quarterback, it'll be late in the rounds. But trading up at number 8 with the Carolina Panthers, I don't see them doing that. I don't see why they would do that. You have a solid quarterback in Jameis Winston. You have a great coach. Both of them will be tested this year. I do see them addressing the cornerback position. As Devon said, it's a lot. It's deep this year at cornerback. So me personally, I do agree with Devon with Asante Samuel Jr. You can go J.C. Horn. I mean, it's a number of different cornerbacks out there. One thing that you want to do with the Saints, though, you want to make sure you get a cornerback that is good with man coverage. The Saints play a lot of man coverage, so you definitely want to get a cornerback that fits that scheme. I don't disagree with the pass rusher. Cameron Jordan's getting up there in age. He's facing a lot of those double teams, so having somebody else coming off that edge along with him could definitely benefit that team. Other than that, man, like I said, the quarterback issue, I don't really see it as an issue, although most people do see it as an issue. But I think they turn the reins over to Jameis Winston this year and let him go to work.
Okay. Let's see another comment on my buddy. What's going on, Tyrone? He's a big-time New Orleans Saints fan. Die-hard New Orleans Saints fan. just to feed off what these guys are saying. Oh, let me shout out Chris Crawford. He's one of our Madden commissioners in NTB. Shout out to everyone who's from NTB that's watching this stream. But he gave me a couple of needs for the New Orleans Saints. His needs were quarterback, receiver, tight end, and also added linebacker to it. But just to go starting off with quarterback, I think you have to get a quarterback at some point in this draft for the New Orleans Saints. Because although Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston will get an opportunity under Sean Payton, I think you have to get you a young signal caller in there because, as Shaq said, we're going to learn a lot about Sean Payton because we've actually had this conversation multiple times off this show about how one thing that was great for New Orleans is when your system is the system is great, and then you had the two same guys there for a 15-year run. So when you have a guy retire and the coaches now have to take over with another quarterback, this is a different ball game. Although we saw in small snippets that Teddy Bridgewater, he went 5-0 with him. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think Taysom went 4-1 or 5-1 in Drew Brees' absence, but he did well with his backup quarterbacks. So he has shown that he can cater to the quarterbacks that he has in there. However, I think getting a chance to see him for a full 16 games is a different ball game. And then Taysom Hill's 30 years old. So with Taysom Hill getting that extension, he's going to get an opportunity, and so will Jameis Winston. They re-signed him for a year. Also, another need is wide receiver. They lost Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason to free agency. And I don't feel that outside of Michael Thomas, that New Orleans really have a reliable number two. Traquan Smith has his moments. Deontay Harris has his moments. But it's never a consistency outside of that number one receiver. They had the issue when Marcus Colston was in New Orleans. So this is the draft to definitely address getting a wide receiver if you're New Orleans. A tight end could be later on in the draft. They lost Jared Cook in the offseason. They need to get a Drew Brees love tight ends. So Taysom Hill, one thing for me, for any young quarterback coming in, you need a tight end. To me, you need a tight end that can help be a safety blanket when you're starting off. You already have a very good receiver in Michael Thomas. So adding a tight end to the mix would be great. As far as corner, as the guys mentioned, the Marcus Lattimore is a really good corner. He's going to be getting ready to be looking towards an extension as well. However, you need to get you another corner in there because when you look at the rest of the guys, they still got Patrick Robinson there. He's getting up in age. PJ Williams is awful. You don't look at the depth of the New Orleans Saints secondary and say, oh, man, they got really good secondary. Janoris Jenkins was a veteran presence. They were respectable, per se. However, you need a corner in there that can help solidify that secondary because you're in a division where you're facing that receiving core in Carolina. You got Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley in Atlanta. You got that loaded receiving core in Tampa Bay. You got to have corners in this division. That is so important in this division. Also, adding on as far as a linebacker, they have, they did not re-sign Quan Alexander. They really need to address that linebacker position. They got Alice Ezeloni. If I say his name wrong, excuse me. You have a lot of young Kinko Alonso. You got a lot of young guys in that linebacking core, but you don't really have a guy that you can say, I can throw him out there and he's going to make a big play. DeMario Davis is getting up in the age. He may be gone after the season because, again, New Orleans is still fighting with that cap situation, even with Drew Brees being gone. So that could be another need for them to address as well. Before I get into the mock picks, I'm going to see what the comments are saying. Virgil Hawkins said the boys are balls. Hey, be nice, man. Be nice, guys. Darius Owens Sr., what's going on, bro? He said Sean Payton is the best offensive play caller in the league, in my opinion. He's up there. He's definitely up there. I won't take that from him. As far as the mock draft, as you saw, Devon mentioned a couple of guys in the mock draft as well. Walter Football has him taking Trayvon Murray. He's the safety out of TCU, which is a very interesting pick, but I can see that because Marcus Williams is also up for an extension after this season as well. CBS Sports, Ryan Wilson has him taking Jeremiah Owusu, our favorite name, Koromo. Yes, sir, him. Joker. Chris Trapasso has him taking Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. That's got the school, right?
Yeah.
It's Kentucky, correct? Making sure. Josh Edwards have them taking Kadarius Toney. Let me be honest, I don't want to see Kadarius Toney in this division if he's not in the Falcon uniform. He's not going to be in the Falcon uniform. So keep him out of my division. And Pete Prisco has him taking Caleb Farley, who has started to slip. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the first round mocks. He was considered a top 10 pick at one point in time, but he's starting to slip deep into the first round for some weird reason. I think he has health issues right now, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe so. So
And
that wraps up.
J.C. Horn, J.C. Horn, Asante Samuel, and Patrick Surtain. Those are the top three cornerbacks right now that they're looking at.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely gonna see them looking at taking a corner. I think that's their number one priority, honestly, in the draft. But that's enough about the New Orleans Saints. Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens. But before we get started, let's see what the preview says about the Baltimore Ravens. At 27th in the NFL draft are the Baltimore Ravens. This is one of the best teams in the AFC, led by Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens made a return trip to the postseason, posting an 11-5 record, which was good enough to get them a wild card spot in the postseason. They held the best rushing offense in the league, and they got a chance to get some revenge in the postseason. They got over the hump against the Tennessee Titans in the wild card round. Unfortunately, their season came to an end at the hands of the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round for the second year in a row. As for the offseason, the Baltimore Ravens lost two of their most productive pass rushers in Yannick Ngakoue and Matthew Judon. So this Baltimore Ravens team will come into the draft to look to add, to replace what they lost in the offseason and to continue to take one step closer to making a Super Bowl run in the AFC, because outside of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, this is one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. All right, that's the preview about the Baltimore Ravens. Since Devon led off first, I'm going to let Shaq lead off about the Baltimore Ravens. What do you see these guys doing at 27?
27. I feel that the Baltimore Ravens need to do one to two things. They can go either way. Definitely address that issue at wide receiver. You will have Rashad Bateman there at that 27 pick. I believe what's his name? Shoot. Goodness, I can't think of the young man's name. Ole Miss wide receiver,
Elijah
Elijah
Moore.
Moore, I believe.
Moore.
Elijah Moore should be there for them. If they want to go another route, I can see them going with the edge rusher from Penn State. Jason, I can't think of his last name right now, but the edge rusher from Penn State. Or I also like they're finding a
Jason
safety.
Jason
Owen.
Jason Owen,
Owen.
there we go. The safety from TCU, I like that pick as well. The interesting thing about this team, as you stated in your video, they have been the number one rushing team in the offense. So, in the NFL. So, with that being said, offensively, they're kind of one dimensional in my book. I feel like if they want to get over that hump, they definitely have to address that wide receiver issue. You don't have a number one wide receiver right now. You want to get as many weapons around Lamar as possible. So if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going wide receiver with my first round pick.
All right, Devon, what do you got?
I'm a little bit on the defensive side of the first round. Losing, like you said, losing those pass rushers. I see they had them picking Azeez Ojulari. He's a dominant edge rusher. Micah Parsons would, if he's available. Yeah, Georgia. Micah Parsons, if he's available. The way that he's going, running that 4.3 and having a dominant pro day, I don't really see him falling that deep unless they trade up for him. But even then, I wouldn't necessarily trade back because, like I said, this class is deep for any position out there. It's enough skill out there. If they want to go defensive line again, Kwity Paye is another option. Rashawn Slater for a tackle if they want to boost up their offensive line. Um, and then corner wise, they have Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters still, but they have him picking Patrick Surtain as a possibility if he falls that deep. I really don't see him falling that deep, but just a small chance that he does. Patrick Surtain will be an option for them. And last but not least, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is a speed receiver. Very fast part of that amazing Alabama core. Like I said, I don't. These are the last two are picks. I don't really see them falling that far, but just a slight chance that they do, or the Ravens thought they want to trade up. They're likely to snag those guys, and Jalen Waddle next to Hollywood would definitely bolster and give Lamar two speedy receivers. Jalen Waddle more on the taller side than Hollywood. You know, Jalen would probably be the number one receiver if he does land with the Ravens, and then Hollywood would be that number two. But as far as they're concerned, mostly outside of what Shaq was saying about wide receiver, they'll probably go mostly defensive and address the line. Linebackers, get somebody paired up with Patrick Queen, and if they do want to go safety, get Trevon Moehrig from TCU.
Real. All right, so I'm gonna shout out another guy in our Madden league, in another Madden league, Jason Prude. He's a big time Baltimore fan. He gave me a couple of keys about the Baltimore Ravens. Before I get into it, let me see what the comments say real quick. Chris Crawford said, "Make sure y'all play the game right after the podcast." We already said we're gonna do that, sir. As soon as we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a.
We got you.
We'll address that afterwards.
Justin Brown said, "I don't think any of those guys fall that deep to the Ravens. They possibly that portion of the draft will definitely be tricky. But the needs that I was given, and a couple of needs that I've researched were offensive line, pass rusher, inside linebacker, and wide receiver. Although they addressed getting Sammy Watkins this offseason, that is their number one need. Because no disrespect to Sammy Watkins, no disrespect to Marquise Brown. I don't feel that they have a guy that you can depend on when you need the ball the most. When Lamar needs to make that one big throw, they don't have that guy like other teams have, like the other mobile guys got, like Kyle Murray got with DeAndre Hopkins and Russ got with Metcalf and those guys. I don't see them having that number one piece. And also Lamar has certain things about himself as a passer that needs to develop. But I think having a number one receiver will help out big time for him as well. So go ahead.
I would say their number one receiver, in my opinion, would be Mark Andrews. If they would have to have a number one receiver, Mark Andrews would probably be the number one. So yeah, I mean,
I agree with that. And as great as we talked about their number one rushing offense in the league, they had the worst passing offense in the league. They had the least attempts in the league. They didn't even throw for 3,000 yards as a team. And you're going to get in some games being one of the best teams in the league where you're going to have to throw the ball. You cannot find yourself without a solid receiver or a solid weapon. As Zavon mentioned, Mark Andrews is their number one guy that they rely on often. So I think that's one of their biggest things to look into. Also, as I mentioned, the pass rusher, as I mentioned in the preview video, they lost Judon and Yannick in the offseason. They could not retain those guys. And also, even with those guys, they desperately need a pass rush. The Ravens didn't even record 40 sacks as a team, which is kind of shocking because they're actually a pretty good 3-4 defense, but they didn't do well last year. Also, an inside linebacker could come into play because Patrick Queen, this is year number 2 for him. Malik Harris has not been developed. And if you're a 3-4 defense like Devon mentioned, even throwing a guy like a Zizo Jalari in there, you need guys that's going to be able to make plays as a 3-4 defense because they will not be able to succeed if they don't address that issue big time. And also the offensive line, even though that may not sound like a big need for them, but with a mobile quarterback, you got to protect him, number one. You got to protect him. They got a really good offensive line, but you want to continue to add to that group. Because if anything, they could improve their guard position to an extent. But to me, you want to get – this is a loaded offensive line draft. So that's a key need. But before I go into the mock picks forum, let's see the comments real quick. Love Jones from Twitch. My bad. Love Jones from Twitch said, hey there, how you doing? I'm glad to see you on here. Jay Lee said the Ravens need to trade up. That would be interesting for them to do because they don't really have a major issue that they don't have any. I think they're in a position where they could trade up. I don't know if they'll do it actually. Jay Lee also said that they need Micah Parsons. That could be a great fit for them, but I don't
Michael
see them.
Parsons and Patrick Queen, that duo right there, that would be kind of lethal right there. I ain't gonna hold
That would actually be kind of. I wouldn't like
that's
that. I wouldn't
that's
like that.
sideline, that's sideline to sideline speed right there.
Yeah, I would. I would like that. Let's okay to the back to what the mock picks are. CBS Sports Ryan Wilson has him taking Kadarius Toney at this spot. Chris Trapasso has him taking Trayvon Morig out of TCU. Josh Edwards has him taking who Shaq mentioned, who is Jason Ola out of Penn State. Pete Prisco has him taking Trayvon Morig as well out of TCU. Walter Football has him taking Jason Ola at that spot. And NFL Network, shout out to Maurice Jones-Drew, who started to do a mock draft for them. He has him taking Jalen Phillips out of Miami, which is another intriguing pick for that team as well. But before I move into the next team, which is going to be the Green Bay Packers, let's go back to the comments one time. I try to make sure we show y'all as much love as possible. DJ said, "What is going on here?" Love Joe says, "Is Shaq Washington breed? Shaq, come on to the screen so they want to see you, bro." They said that you breed.
You said it
Let's
one more
see.
time.
She
So you
said that
break
you
this, my
breeding.
boy.
So she see you. You see him drinking his drink, Love Jones.
Nah,
Kendrick
man,
Harper says, "See
I'm
about
chilling,
Isaiah
man.
Simmons." No, that's not gonna happen. Jay
You
Lee
said
also said
what?
that the Ravens also always build their linebackers right, which yes, true. That's very true, very true. But that's enough talk about the Baltimore Ravens. We're gonna get into the team that fell one game short of the Super Bowl
Hold on, Nate.
yet again.
Before you
Oh,
move on, Nate, let me say one thing before you move on. I honestly feel that if the Baltimore Ravens fail in this draft, they will not make the playoffs next year.
It's
This
a
is
Browns
why.
division. It's a Browns division to win this young game.
Every team in the AFC is improving. We've seen the meltdown that the Kansas City Chiefs had. That's not going to happen again. You have the Cleveland Browns. We all saw how they lost. The Buffalo Bills, who were frowned upon for throwing the ball dang near 60% of the time, have addressed their running back issue, adding Matt Breida. The Baltimore Ravens have to improve a lot, or they will see themselves on the outside looking in next year.
I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. That's a great point. That's a great way to end the Baltimore Ravens segment. Now, moving on to the team that fell one game short yet again in the NFC Championship game, the Green Bay Packers. Let's see their preview before we get into the topic of them.
The Green Bay Packers entered the 2021 NFL Draft with the 30th overall pick. They got 10 picks in this draft, and they will look to continue to build off their successful 2020 season, which saw the Packers have the number one seed in the NFC, finish with a 13-3 record. Aaron Rodgers won MVP for the third time in his career, and the Packers actually posted the best offense in the league, finishing number one in passing, number one in turnovers allowed, in touchdown passes and interceptions, and they were the top 10 rushing offense in the league as well. Devontae Adams finished with 1,374 yards and 18 touchdowns, and Aaron Jones ran for over 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. But their season unfortunately came to an end at the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost in the NFC Championship game 31-26. And the Green Bay Packers are returning majority of their roster. So as they enter the 2021 draft, they're going to look to reload and finally get over the hump that's been hunting them for the last 2 seasons.
All right, that's about the Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to lead off about the Green Bay Packers. My needs for the Green Bay Packers are our cornerback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, and defensive line. And shout out to Jay Lee because he just posted that right before I was about to come on and say it. The Green Bay Packers, as I mentioned, they had a very elite offense last year. They could use another wide receiver. I mean, you got Devontae Adams, you got Valtez Scantling, but you are in a premium position where there's so many solid receivers at that spot that they're going to be picking at that you would be crazy to miss out on getting a wide receiver at 20, I think it's 29. I said it 30, excuse me, in the video. My correction on that. As far as corner, I'm going to get to there. Everyone is talking about that is their number one need on the team because Kevin King got absolutely exposed in the NFC Championship game. And he does not deserve to be on anybody's roster. at this moment. No disrespect to the guy. He looked awful in the NFC Championship game. And you need a guy that's going to pair up with Jair Alexander. He was a very solid corner for them. But the Packers don't have any corner on the roster. Not even Jair Alexander is under contract past 2021. They need a corner bad if they can take one at that spot as well. Also, another position they could be looking at is a sleeper position as an edge rusher because Preston Smith's going to probably get a good deal. He's going to probably get a big contract, and he's probably not coming back. You do got Kenny Clark up front, but you got to get – this is a draft where because of the talent up front, edge rushers is going to kind of slip. So a lot of the playoff teams are going to get guys that may have probably went top 15 in previous years. So that could be another position they can be looking at as well. And offensive tackle, because Bacchiardi, correct me if I say this, correct me if I didn't say his name correct, he's coming off of an ACL injury. And for a draft that is loaded with tackles, this is the perfect time to go get you an offensive tackle if he's not a part of your future. But before I turn it over to Devon and Shaq, let's see what the comments are saying. Nick Green said that the Packers need another cornerback with Jair. Absolutely. He said that Kevin King is trash can juice. I agree with that as well. Tevin Ratcliffe, what's going on, bro? He said that they could use a corner. King got exposed. Absolutely. Kendrick Harper said, I heard that Jordan Love's headed to the Patriots. I haven't heard that one yet. That could be an interesting topic to discuss closer to the draft. And C made it great. Yeah, what's going on, bro? He said that they need a safety as well. That could absolutely add to their secondary. But I'm going to let either one of you go first on your thoughts about the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, mine's gonna be kind of short because I really just think that their main focus right now, they don't really need to address anything heavy in the first round other than their cornerback position. Everything else is pretty much solidified. Like the wide receiver position, yes, they do need a wide receiver, but like I said, this draft class is loaded with receivers. You can get one on second day, the third day, fourth day. Anybody can shine. You can like pass rushers, defense, like basically. The players, for depth purposes, they can get in the later rounds, but they need a cornerback, like a second cornerback, to go opposite of Jair Alexander, just like the Saints do. So for me, I would say they're looking at Elijah Molden, cornerback for them, and they're also focusing on a rising cornerback to watch is Dwayne Eskridge from Northwestern. He's a good cornerback for them to watch. And Greg Newsome II is the main cornerback that's been in a lot of mock drafts. So those three are the main ones to look for on next week or within the next 2 weeks. Shaq.
I feel that Green Bay. Nah, you good, bro. Green Bay is the NFC team that, in my opinion, doesn't have many positions they need to improve. When you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers controlling the team, not just the offense, the team, you're going to be successful. They have their backup of the future in Jordan Love. So if they do end up trading Jordan Love to the Pats, that'll be very odd to see. But, I feel like they're definitely molding Jordan Love to take over that offense when Aaron Rodgers exits. If I'm in the first round, if available, I'm gonna take Rashad Bateman. That gives you another piece in that raw receiving core. And I mean, like I said, I don't see many things that they have to address. Yes, Kevin King got exposed in the playoff. It happens. Everybody has those days. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm not necessarily giving up on the man. It's always about you play your game, you do bad or whatever. Let's see how he reacts next year. We can say the same thing about Cam Newton. He had a horrible year this year. What did they do? Turn around, give you another year. Let's try it again. So I don't see them going corner first round. I definitely see them maybe drafting wide receiver. And after that, they kind of can play with their picks if they want to trade them, whatever, or what have you. Like I said, I don't see many things that they need to do as long as Aaron Rodgers is in that offense or in that team.
Okay. As far as the mock draft for the Packers, Walter Football has them taking Greg Newsome, the corner out of Northwestern. CBS Sports Ryan Wilson has him taking Rashad Bateman, as Shaq mentioned, out of Minnesota. Christian Prosser has him taking Christian Darrisaw, another guy who, when the last time me and Devon did a mock, he was up in the top 20. Now he's skating around at late 20s, early 30s. Josh Edwards is going to have them taking Xavier Collins out of Tulsa. Pete Prisco has him taking Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss, and NFL Network has him taking Rondell Moore out of Purdue. And for us that love to play Madden, that would be the fun, exciting thing to play with Devontae Adams and Rondell Moore. Side note, but let me go to these comments real quick before we go deeper into what we're discussing. Jay Lee Jr. said, "Why does Shaq like he played corner?" Y'all leave my boy alone, man. Y'all leave my boy alone. Kendrick Harper says, I feel like they caught a hot Tampa team. I do too. Tampa was hot going into that spot. To me, Tampa's biggest threat, as much as nobody want to admit it, Tampa's hardest game, in my personal opinion, was the Washington football game. I don't care what nobody say. Green Bay ran into a buzz, saw
And
they fought back.
I'm gonna tell you why. The only reason why that game was so hard was because they played Taylor Heineke. That's the only reason why. And because they didn't have any film on him like that to even base off like get a game plan for him. They were basically just playing blind, playing the defense. And also they didn't have Devin White. And that was and for me, watching the game after Devin White came back from his injury, I'm sorry, I'm saying Devin White. It's Devin White, Devin Bush. I know it's one of them two Devins.
It's Devin
But
White.
yeah, Devin White. He did add that leadership, that speed. He basically gave that defense more confidence to overcome what they couldn't do the first game because it seemed like I know this is just it's a little biased, but I know that first game we could have won that game. There was a couple of calls from the refs that really shifted that game or really um, it basically helped the Bucks win a little more. Some may not agree with what I just said, but I know for a fact that there was a lot of calls just off me watching that should have been called or should not been called. But that's it's in the past now, so we're going to get away from that.
There was a lot of interesting calls during that playoff run. We'll leave that topic for another day. So I want to go ahead and get it. We're going to get into our favorite teams, but commenting from YouTube just brought up a great point because this story was breaking right before we went on air. He asked, I think with the unfortunate news with Justin Fields, do you guys feel that it made the Falcons' job a bit easier at 4? That is an intriguing question. What he's mentioning is Justin Fields, they were talking about he has issues with epilepsy coming into this draft, and I just hope that doesn't affect him going in the top 4. Because a couple people are projecting us to take him at. That's something that I'm hoping that doesn't play a factor because just to kind of get into a little bit of that topic there, what epilepsy is a neurological disorder that causes seizures, but it hasn't affected his career or anything. But one thing that's kind of unfortunate to hear, just side note before I even get into the Falcons a little bit, because I hate to hear anybody with any kind of head-based injury because Percy Harvin out of Florida. Sure, you both remember him. Very talented receiver. Couldn't deal with them. The migraines got him out the league career quick. Terrell Davis, who played for Denver, who's a Hall of Famer, dealt with migraines in his career. So you would hate to hear anything like that health-wise affect a person that is just as talented as Justin Fields. So I'm hoping that it doesn't, but and we've seen it happen in the NFL. So we'll see what happens as it gets closer to the draft. Unfortunately, what do you guys got to say before I go into the Falcons a little bit?
Justin, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nah, you good. Go ahead, bro.
I have heard it's been a lot of mixed reports about Justin Fields. I don't know why he's getting so much slack. Like the biggest negative comment that I've heard, or the most negative comment that I've heard, is the Dan Orlovsky comment about him having a lack of work ethic and him being the last one in, last one out, or first one out type thing, and that he doesn't have any drive. That kind of it rubbed me the wrong way, only because nobody knows where he got that comment from. Like nobody knows what source he got that from. It's just something that he just said, just out the blue. There
Can
hasn't
I
really
add this real quick before you continue?
Yeah,
Dan
right.
Orlovsky, the guy that ran out the back of the end zone in the winless season with the Detroit Lions, said that.
Yeah, yeah. That's why
Continue. Keep
that's
going.
it. So it's just like there hasn't been, and not trying to bring race into this, but there hasn't been a lot of love for African American quarterbacks. Like they always try to either give them a bad rep or adjust their position once they get drafted. Like they wanted Jalen Hurts to play a different position. They wanted Lamar still to this day to play another position. So and it's like when is there ever going to be a positive light on African American QBs coming into the draft? When is there ever going to be like
Speak on that. Speak on it.
when is there ever going to be like a solid solid rep for sorry, when's there ever going to be a solid rep for them? Like when are they going to say, oh well, he has great work ethic, he has a strong arm? Like the only one that I've seen them speak highly of is Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is coming from a small school as it is, you know what I'm saying, North Dakota State. And I I all praise for Trey Lance. He's in all his success, he's doing well. His stock draft is rising. He can go anywhere within them 32 teams, but Justin Fields is like he's going to be like just them talking about him alone in a negative light will lower his draft stock instantly just because of that. That's all I
Before
got to say.
Shaq comment real quick, Love Jones from Twitch said most of these players have CT and don't know it. Absolutely, that's an interesting topic to get into in the future. That would be something we can talk about going, in the future. And she said, "Oh dang, my lies. I'm sorry. He mentioned he made that comment, so I had to mention his playing career, unfortunately. But I'm not going to cut into Shaq's comments on that. Go ahead, Shaq.
So this is my outlook on it. So it's funny that the draft is 1 week away. This is all of a sudden coming out. Never really heard anything about it, but I love it for Justin Fields. Honestly, do. If you look at quarterbacks that have faced adversity, their careers have been pretty decent. This is adversity. He hasn't even stepped foot on an NFL field to play a snap yet. He's already faced adversity. I love it for him. I still feel like the Atlanta Falcons need to take him at number 4. And I feel like he's a quarterback with the biggest upside. They throw Trevor Lawrence out there. Well, sir, you're gonna be running for your life in Jacksonville with no one to throw to but DJ Chark. You put Justin Fields in Atlanta. Let him learn behind Matt Ryan a little bit. Sorry to get on your Falcons, but with Justin Fields there, Matt Ryan will find himself on the bench. And then it's his time to shine. You have Julio and Calvin Ridley, 2 great weapons. I love his upside. And I love that all this wants to come out now because it gives him a lot more to play towards.
To add on to Shaq's comment, real quick, to add on to Shaq's comment, if the Falcons get Justin Fields, this may play out just like how when Lamar got drafted and he was behind Joe Flacco, how they benched Flacco for him coming in. It's going to be the same exact situation.
I agree with you guys on that.
I
I agree with
agree.
you guys on that. And that leads into me talking a little bit about the Falcons. The Falcons have had a lot of news happen with them recently. There was a rumor about them trading down with the Denver Broncos from 4-9, and they attended Justin Fields and Trey Lance's pro day. My personal opinion, I think the Falcons are looking at 4 guys from what we're hearing so far. But I think Fields and Lance are 1 and 2. I think it's either or because San Fran, we don't know what San Fran is going to do. That's the wild card here. San Fran could easily sneak in here and take Justin Fields runs. I'm going to be absolutely angry. But I do agree with the guys that I would love, me personally, I would love to see Justin Fields as that pick at number 4, if not Trey Lance. To me personally, and I know this name has been creeping up on Falcon mock drafts. I do not want Kyle Pitts in a Falcon uniform at number 4. He's a
Too high.
talented guy. I'm not taking anything from him. No disrespect to him. But when you are in a premium position at number 4 and you just traded for Hayden Hurst from Baltimore, you gave him a second-round pick, matter of fact, and Hayden was not a bad tight end for the Falcons side of it. But why would you trade up? Why would you go to number 4? It was no point in losing all them games in if you're gonna go take a tight end at 4. That makes no sense for me. Get a quarterback, let him learn under Matt Ryan because Matt Ryan, as Devon mentioned, he's kind of in that Joe Flacco situation. Mac has not fell off as bad as Flacco was at that particular time. But Matt's time is ending in Atlanta, and you want to get a chance to learn up under a guy who's played 13 years in NFL, because whatever Falcon fans feel about Matt Ryan, at the end of the day, you got to be doing something right. You played 13 years as the quarterback of one football team. So at the end of the day, he's getting an opportunity to learn under Matt Ryan and potentially and I don't know why a lot of Falcon fans are on this wave of start him game one. Mike Vick didn't start game one with the Falcons. Mike Vick didn't get into he played games in 01, but he didn't really start games until the latter part of 2001. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that Chris Chandler couldn't stay healthy. Just a historical Falcon side note. But in this case with Matt Ryan, I think you do got to look into getting a quarterback, because we are coming in with a new coaching staff, new front office. You're basically going into a brand new job. Everybody that's on the team got to impress the next head coach, the next GM, because after this season, everything is up for grabs. Who may have been a star on previous Falcon or in the previous Falcon organization may not be on this team anymore. That could play into factors for guys like, no disrespect to these guys, they're very good, like a Grady Jarrett or Deion Jones, or guys like that. Those guys may not stay on this team because of the new system, the new philosophy. The guys that might have lasted under Thomas Dimitroff may not last under Terry Faulkner. So that's where that comes into play for the Falcons. Before I get into the mock picks real quick, Nick Green said the Falcons don't need Phil. You want them to be in Carolina, right? Well, Jones said, speaking of quarterbacks, how do you feel about the Wonderlic test? What's the purpose for such a brutal sport? I've never understood that either. What about you guys? I've never understood that test either.
To be honest with you, I never even I have to get brushed up on that knowledge of what a Wonderlic test is.
Sort of like an IQ test that they do.
IQ test? Nah. Well, yeah, IQ test I don't really think is necessary, because like if your IQ test is you being able to understand defenses and understand and be able to read the playbook and be able to memorize it and know all the plays. That's your IQ test. You know what I'm saying? The Wonderlic test is not necessary. Like that's just like an extra thing to put out there.
What about you, Shaq?
So with that test, I feel like that's why they have it. You've seen great talents that can't read playbooks. Prime example, Terrell Owens with New England. Each offense, or each team, I should say, has a very particular way that they do things. Terrell Owens struggled because he could not read the playbook. He could not get down pat with arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. He couldn't get it down pat. So I feel like that's why they do that test, to see basically on some, like, how focused can you be? You know what I'm saying? Like how well can you take in information and retain that information? Because truth be told, a lot of these guys that come out of college, you know, me being a college athlete, a lot of things can sometimes be handed to you. You know what I mean? And you may breeze through. You do your 1 or 2 years and boom, NFL draft, here I come. So I feel like that's why. I feel like if you're going to do that test, it should be primarily on quarterbacks, cornerbacks, and wide receivers, and some even offensive linemen. It's so many things that make these teams successful with certain schemes and things like that. And honestly, if you cannot retain that information, you know, you're not going to be very successful. Not everybody's going to be blessed with 4.23 speed and they say run straight and we'll lob you the ball. Not everybody's blessed that way. So I feel like that's the only reason why they had the IQ test like that.
I like that take. Let's see, Kadarius Bailey, what's going on, bro? Side note, happy birthday to my boy, man. He's in the 30 club today. But the Falcons can't pass on Fields if he's there at 4. Absolutely, we cannot pass up on Justin Fields at 4. Nick Green said, "I don't want Burns killing." Ain't about talking about the Carolina Panthers right now. We'll talk about them on next Thursday. Okay, leave it alone right now. Love Jones said, "Thanks, Shaq, for clearing that up. I always wondered about that text." Thank you for asking that question. That's a very good question to ask for us. But as far as the Falcons, Walter Football has us taking Justin Fields. CBS Sports, 3 of the 4 analysts has us taking Kyle Pitts. But this is the weird thing about Chris Trapasso. He has us trading down with Denver, then trading up with the Lions just to take Kyle Pitts. The other person, Josh Edwards, has us taking Trey Lance, and also Maurice Jones-Drew has us taking Kyle Pitts. You already heard what I said about Kyle Pitts. I do not want Kyle Pitts at 4 because that would be a waste of time to go. Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and this is me taking out being a fan. The Falcons are not one of the best teams in the league, but they're not one of the worst teams in the league. Their record, what went on last season, a lot of it had to do with coaching, a lot of it had to do with bad decision making late in the football game. They have a last place schedule. They will not be this bad next season. They are, I'm shocked. And I'm not saying that from a fan. If you look at the roster and the talent on the roster, I'll be shocked if this team is 4-12 next season, just with this take of that roster. However, with that being said, if you cannot pass taking a quarterback because you just don't know if let's say that they do have a middle of the pack 500 season, wild card possible season, and you may need a quarterback and Matt Ryan regresses. What do you do in that case? Then you're going to be looking for a quarterback 2-3 years down the road. Take out the fact of Matt Ryan's contract. You got to get a quarterback now. You don't want to be the best. A lot of the best teams, look at the situation in Green Bay. Brett Favre was not at the end of his career, but they went and got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers stepped in and he took a long tenor with Green Bay. So you got to be smart while you can. Not out here being the Miami Dolphins. No disrespect to these guys. They had for years trying to find a quarterback. What other teams can we throw out? Miami's been one of them. Washington, yeah. Washington's been another team that's been hunting for
Cleveland
a
was
quarterback
like
for
that
years.
for
So
a
you
couple
don't want to
years.
find yourself in that position. What you say, Shaq?
I said Cleveland was like that for a couple years.
Cleveland was
Trying
like
to
that
find a
for a very
quarterback.
long time. They had, 17 starting quarterbacks at a stretch?
You
But
can say,
that's
you can say
how
Denver like
many?
that now. So you can say Denver's like that now because I
Yeah,
don't think they're
Denver.
they're really not solidified with Drew Lock there. So they
I
still.
agree.
My thing, I know you hate it, Nate, and the only reason I feel like they keep saying Kyle Pitts is going to number 4 is because how versatile he is. He's probably the most talented non-quarterback in the draft this year. So he can line up in a slot. He can line up one-on-one. And I think me and you talked about this one-on-one. The physicality of Julio Jones is what's hurting his career. He's so physical. You're not going to be able to rely on that so much. You know what I'm saying? His way of playing is going to cut his years in the league down. So they may be looking for a fill-in in Kyle Pitts because Kyle Pitts is unlike no other. He's not a regular tight end. That is the only reason. But however, I do agree with you. You need to address that quarterback issue now. And honestly, I feel like if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you're taking a quarterback because what happened when Jordan Love got to the Green Bay Packers? Aaron Rodgers was furious. He came out and said, my job is not to prepare this man to run this offense. I run this offense. It lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers. It lit a fire under him. And what happened this year? Aaron Rodgers was your MVP. So maybe that happens with Matt Ryan. Maybe it lights a fire. Did he take Justin Fields that early? It lights a fire under him. And we may see the MVP season from Matt Ryan. You never know. But definitely agree with you, Nate. You do not pass up on a talent as far as quarterback in this year's draft, whether it's Trey Lance or Justin Fields. You just don't pass up on it.
Yes, sir. So now I'm done talking Falcons. Thank y'all for that's heard about the Falcons. I'm gonna let these guys talk about their favorite team. Which one of you guys want to go next?
All right, hold on. I need to be cheered up because I know what Devon's gonna say will make me happy. All right, because it's a couple pieces on that team that I love on his team. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. I'm gonna turn on my Stephen A. voice. The Philadelphia Eagles are doing their best job of turning into the laughing stock of the NFL. They are doing a great job in taking the Dallas Cowboys position as the laughing stock.
Worse than the Texans, Shaq? Worse than the Texans right now?
The Texans. They will become the laughing stock of the NFL. Now, with the Texans, they have a few legal issues. What they got going on, that's kind of beyond football. I pray for Deshaun Watson, but that's beyond football. From a football state, with a team like the Dallas Cowboys, all that talent, you know what's going to happen. The Philadelphia Eagles will be the laughingstock next year if they do not do what I say. First of all, you signed Joe Flacco to be a leader in that locker room. This is the man that refused to go back into a game because he broke his pinky. This is a man that refused to go back into a game because his chest was hurting. He's not a leader. He's a franchise killer, but you signed Joe Flacco and have the audacity to say he's in a quarterback battle with Jalen Hurts. A quarterback battle with Jalen Hurts.
That's y'all Nick Foles.
That's blasphemy. That's blasphemy. As
That's
Stephen
y'all
A
Nick
was saying,
Foles.
that's blasphemy. There's
Look
no
what
way in
Lil
the
Jones
world.
added with you.
There is no
That's
way
disrespectful.
in the world that you sign Joe Flacco and expect him to be a leader in that locker room and expect Jalen Hurts to learn behind him. Number one. Number two, we let Alshon go. Deshaun Jackson's gone. We have no number one receiver. We have no number one. We don't know what Marquise Goodwin's going to do. I don't know if he got his shots. I don't know if it's required by the NFL, but this man said he's not touching the field with COVID going on. Jalen Rager can't stay healthy. We're talking about trading Zach Ertz, who 2-3 years ago, he was probably second, third best tight end in the league. I mean, I just don't know what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to sit here and tell me that the need on this team, and listen, we need multiple first-round picks to address the issues with this team. You fired Doug Peterson. And bring in some guy. I mean, and let me say this. This man in his press conference looked like me. Just threw on anything. Like, who are you, guy? You didn't look no type of like you were nervous. You're going to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. We have the toughest fans in the league, in my opinion. There's no, oh yeah, you're okay this year. No, you come in, you got to be successful. So you fire Doug Peterson. Like, this man did not lead a team to a Super Bowl and win and beat New England Patriots. I mean, come on. I just don't understand. We just need so much help, and it hurts me. It hurts. It really hurts. You signing all these old cats to these contracts. Our youngest offensive lineman is 35 years old. Are you kidding me? 35 years old? 35 years old. Our second best corner. Listen, I just can't. You want to go get Devontae Smith in the draft. Devontae Smith's not a number one wide receiver. You know who Devontae Smith robbed me of? Robbie Anderson. He's not a great number one wide receiver. He's not even the number one in Carolina. But that's where we're gonna go. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go get Devontae Smith. And nothing against Devontae Smith. I love him. There's nothing against Devontae Smith. I love him, but he's not a number one receiver. He's just not. You make no splash in free agency. You ship off Carson Wentz for nothing. To the Colts, where he's gonna have a great career. But you ship off Carson Wentz for nothing. And you sign Joe Flacco. I mean, I just don't understand. The only thing I love about this team is that Jalen Hurts, his entire career, college and NFL, faced nothing but adversity. We know about the situation with Alabama, so he's ready. The thing with Carson Wentz, the reason why he felt a little bit, Carson Wentz was handed everything. The moment he faced adversity, he folded. He needed to be in Indianapolis. Ain't much going on in Indianapolis. He ain't got much to worry about. But you cannot come to Philadelphia and be soft. And this head coach that they hired is soft. I'll tell you that right now. So I kid you not. The Philadelphia Eagles will be the laughing stock of the. I might find another team. Y'all need more fans in Washington. I mean,
We
I live in
always need
PA.
more fans,
Hey,
bro. You
I
know what I'm
might
saying? You
have
come
to
over
jump
to
ship.
the
I
side.
mean, I just don't understand. I will be surprised if we have a successful year this year. I hope we do. But right now, I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Okay. So I'm gonna cover this for Shaq. The mock drafts have y'all taking, well, all but one of them have y'all taken Devontae Smith.
I figured.
The other one is Pat Surtain.
And I'm not
point.
mad about that. I'm not mad about that. Pat Surtain, to me, in my opinion, he's the best man-to-man covering, lock you down. He played man more than any cornerback this year in college. So I love that pick. I love it.
Lil Joe's trying to recruit you to Detroit.
Come to Detroit, man, I tell you. I just don't
They
understand.
just
Devon,
got a
please
new
cheer
coach
me up.
too. I don't know how they gonna do without Matt Patricia over there. Matt Patricia's
Devon,
always
let me hear some good stuff about
Yeah,
Washington, man.
let's get some
I
good
just need to
news.
smile. I need to
Because
smile, man.
it's
I need to
hey,
smile.
we
look.
out here on these fits with these fits of Jesus teams. We need you to go ahead and just make it happy. Bring a
All right,
happy team to the play.
so based off y'all, you know what I'm saying, y'all have had success in the past few years. Ever since I've been really, really paying attention to football, Washington has been the main laughing stock of the NFL, next to the Browns, of course. But well, at least up until recently. But ever since Rivera came in last year, which I appreciate Dan Snyder giving him like not all the control, but control that because he knows what he needs to do um, to be a successful coach in the NFL, a successful team in the NFL. He literally changed the entire culture for us in Washington. Um, Already, and with Kyle Smith also giving us a good couple of years with the draft, we really turned our heads around with what's going to happen in Washington in the future. For instance, that whole defensive line, we're solid for like the next couple of years. It's going to be contract negotiations coming up with Jonathan Allen that we need to address if we're going to keep him or not. Um, Other than that, I don't know how long that line is going to last. I know we're probably going to draft some more in the future, and we still have Tim Settle there locking it down. We still have Matt Ioannidis as well, but Ioannidis is getting up there in age. Um, Defensively, since we last talked, nothing's really improved. Our cornerbacks are Darrell Roberts, William Jackson, and Kendall Fuller going into next year. I like that. That's a good group of corners. Safeties, we're addressing that right now. I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna get one in the draft. Not like expecting like first round or second round, probably like in the later rounds, like sixth and seventh round, like Cam Curl, who blew my mind this year. He's a seventh round pick, was amazing for us. Came up for a lot of big plays, especially in the playoffs. That last game against the Bucks had a lot of good plays for us. He was probably our best player next to Chase Young in that defense as far as like rookie young players. He was probably our second best player. Um, and also, yeah, just Chase Young in itself, a dominant powerhouse. Can't wait to see what he's going to do in year two. He can only get better. Montez Sweat going into year three. Already had a breakout season last year. He got snubbed from the Pro Bowl, but that's a whole different conversation. Um, he is all for our defense wise. All we really need is a linebacker, which we are addressing in the draft first round. They do have us addressing it, picking up Michael Parsons or Joker or Zavin Collins to go next to Cole Holcomb in that amazing defense. Cole Holcomb out of UNC has been a dominant. He's not dominant, but he's been a consistent force for us. If we do decide to go the UNC route again in the draft, we would get Chad Surratt from UNC. He's a pretty solid middle linebacker. Can also play outside. Offensively, the only thing that's been really added to us, we signed Sammy Reyes. He's a 6'6", 245 tight end from Chile. They did a whole story on him. He came from Chile when he was 14. Came over. He was playing basketball most of his life. Played basketball at Tulane in college, and had an amazing pro day. Like I said, he's another 6'6" tight end next to Logan Thomas. 6'6", 245, runs a 4.6. And he's fairly young, so if he does have a good year, which a lot of people are saying he's probably not going to make it past preseason, but hopefully he does. If he shows out, he can be like the next Antonio Gates. That's what they're comparing him to. I don't really see that comparison, but we'll see how it does. But other than that, we do have Curtis Samuel. We do have Terry McLaurin. We do need a solid wide receiver too. Kelvin Harmon is coming back off of his ACL injury that he suffered last year before the season started, going into his third year. He hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time, so hopefully he'll come into his own if he can stay healthy. We also have Antonio Gandy Golden that we picked up in the fourth round from Liberty. He still has to break out. He had his few little moments last year where he got in the game, but he didn't really shine like that, like we wanted him to. He's another big body target that could be a red zone threat for us. We still have Steven Sims on the roster. Don't know why. Not really good for us in the return game, as y'all saw. Muffed a lot of punts. He actually muffed a punt against the Panthers, and they scored on that same muff punt. So, in the slot position, dropping passes, he wasn't really solid for us last year. Kind of had a down year, so we'll see where he goes after this season. Don't necessarily see him being on the roster. Cam Sims had a breakout season for us, a small breakout, not a major breakout. He had a small breakout, about 600 yards, 4 touchdowns. For the injuries that we faced at the receiver position, he came up good or big for us. Alex Smith, Jordan Reid, both former Washington football team players, retired. Gotta be politically correct. They both retired, but basically back to back within each other. Both had great careers with us pre-injury. Jordan Reid, it's sad to see him go only after 7 seasons. If he would have stayed healthy, he probably would have had a Hall of Fame career just off of what he did in Washington alone.
Get green.
Y'all stole Curtis from Curtis didn't want to play with y'all no more because he knew he was going to be on his way out anyway. And we brought in pretty much the old Carolina Panthers front office. They're now in Washington, so we're basically the Washington Panthers if we want to put a name to us now.
So y'all the Washington Panthers, we the Atlanta football team.
Yeah, pretty much. You know what I'm saying. But as far as our other core groups are concerned, Antonio Gibson, he's going to be coming back from a turf toe injury that suffered in the late season. Rehabbing from that, so I'm pretty sure he's back to 100% by then. Bryce Love, sad to see him be released. He was drafted 2 years ago, but didn't touch the field as he had an ACL injury, similar to Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster is still on the roster. Don't know why. I guess they're still being hopeful that he'll come back and play for us, but he hasn't touched the field in 2 weeks. Since he's been on the team, hasn't touched the field, similar to Bryce Love. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, the only competition we're going to have in that division, honestly, outside of the Giants, if the Cowboys have a good draft and Dak comes into his own, which y'all know I have very strong feelings against Dak. I don't like him at all. Cowboys fans out there, y'all gonna hate me, but I don't like Dak at all. He's not y'all's answer. Throwing for 500 yards a game, trailing, that's not impressive to me. Anybody can do that if they're trailing and they need those yards. So I'd rather see you throw 500 yards and win a game rather than be down by 21 or however many points and throwing 500 yards to come back. That's what I want to see. And I also want to see you guys win playoff games, more than one. I know we haven't won any, but for y'all to put Dak on such a high pedestal, like top 10 quarterback or top 5 quarterback in the league, no, he's not. He's right there in the middle. He's like he's got to prove more to me. Like he's been put in a very good situation. That's all I can say. And without Zeke, he's nothing. Because Zeke does add a lot of. He's not. I'm not gonna say he's done yet, but he definitely is a main workhorse for your offense. And without him, I don't think your offense is very one-dimensional without Zeke. But other than that, for Washington, I just want to wait to see for the draft. Where as far as quarterback is concerned, we addressed everything we needed to do in free agency. We picked up a good quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a good, solid veteran quarterback. There's not really much I can really say about him. He has good games. He has bad games. He'll be in that QB competition with Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke. But as far as drafting quarterbacks, Trey Lance has been on the radar heavy recently. But we're not attending a second pro day. So as far as our concern is, we would pick up Davis Mills. Davis Mills has been a good he's been a prospect for us to watch in the 3rd round or the 2nd round. He's a 6'4", 220 quarterback, runs a 4.5. He got the pocket very accurate. So if anything, he would be a steal for us if we were to select him. Not not saying he's the best quarterback in the draft, but he's definitely somebody that can, learn, fit in the system, and then come in and prosper. So, a developmental quarterback, I should say. But other than that, the sky is up for us. You know what I'm saying? We have a down year, but I don't think with this level of talent and the young talent team that we could even come close to having a down year. The worst I can see us going is even 8-8, or sorry, 9-8, since it's only 17-game season now. So I don't see us losing more than 9 games going into next season. Yeah, that's really all I got to say about them as of right now.
Okay, yeah, let's technical difficulty for a second there. That's why we're trying to make sure you came back. Yeah, Devon's having a little technical difficulties, everyone. Yeah, we know he had a technical difficulty. That's the problem. His phone faded out on him. But hopefully we can get it back real quick before we wrap up.
I tell you this, Nate. Thinking more on the Philadelphia Eagles, man. You have a chance to get Will Fuller, you don't do that. You go after Corvette. I mean, my God, you offer Corvette a lot of money, and he turns it down. And when you have an opportunity to get Will Fuller, now Will Fuller's in Miami. I mean, I don't understand this. I don't understand what they have going on. Every day I wake up and I see something about the Philadelphia Eagles, I feel bad for guys like Fletcher Cox. I mean, I just feel bad. Maybe they have something up their sleeve that I don't know. You draft Devontae Smith, maybe he's the answer. I don't know. Maybe Marquise Goodwin comes back and backs up all that mess he was talking about, him being the fastest NFL receiver. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't understand what we're doing. Yeah, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Because we have not improved. We've severely declined. So,
hey man, I understand that.
Yeah,
But
y'all are on the up and up here.
Yes, sir. All three of our teams are just on the way up. But ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to this show today. I really appreciated having Shaq and Devon. I think his phone may have went dead. I think you probably all were hearing the little sound issues towards the end of the call. But we do have 2 upcoming shows that I do want to go ahead and give you guys a heads up about. We're going to try to get another show in and talk about Tampa, Kansas City, and Buffalo sometime this weekend. Those are the last 3 teams that have not been covered going into the week of the draft. Next Thursday is the NFL draft. I'm going to be on here for round 1 and on Friday, round 2 and round 3. If your team is picking and you want to chime in on your team, hit me up. You can jump on the stream. You can give your true opinion about the team. You got to keep it clean. I'm going to put that out there. We're going to keep it clean now. But you can't jump on here and talk about your team after the pick is made because we will be on here for the whole first round and the second and third. Not sure what I'm going to do about the last 4 rounds, but again, the first 3 rounds, we definitely will be on here. I'm sure Shaq's going to come back. He said he would love to come back for the draft. So, again, this has been All In with Nate. I appreciate having Shaq on here. I hate that Devon's phone kind of faded out on him, but I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for the comments and for all of you that's been tuned in for the whole show. What you got to say, bro?
One more thing, man. Outside of sports world, I want to say congratulations to us as a nation for taking that stand in the justice of Mr. Floyd. As I'm pretty sure everybody knows, the young man responsible for the murder of George Floyd has been guilty of all counts. Like I said, we're taking a stand. We're moving in the right direction. But we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do as a nation. You know what I'm saying? So right now, we're only moving up. So I just want to congratulate us as a nation for making that stand and finding that young man guilty of all charges. And like I said, it's up to us to continue to improve as a nation. And at the end of the day, we have to work together.
Yes, sir. Great point, mate. Great point. And once again, this is the end of All In with Nate Shaq. Thank you so much for coming in. You gave some
No
great
problem,
content.
man. I appreciate you
Great,
having me, bro.
great content overall, man. But as for Devon, he did a solid job. His phone went dead. His phone's come back on, but we'll definitely get a chance to see him the next show. But until then, that's All In with Nate. We are signing off. Y'all have a great rest of the evening.